week to everyone. Coming off a solid road win at Kansas, start Big 12 play. Definitely wasn't our best, but credit to our players and staff for finding a way to win that game. Quick game recap. I'll kind of hit on what I think are the positives and the negatives from the game, and then we'll give out the awards, and then I'll take some questions. Special teams first. The negatives from the game. Our protection, which has been really solid throughout the year, wasn't good enough, in my opinion, on punt or on field goal. We missed an opportunity to kick off return. I thought we had one chance there where we could have broken it, and we didn't. And then we got another penalty on the punt return unit. We got to clean that up. Positives, I thought we executed our hands team at the end, which is a big play. Nobody talks about it unless you don't get it, and I thought we did a nice job with that. Our specialists, Josh and Evan, both had really good days in the game. And then we had a big punt return by Alex Sinkfield. We blocked it up well, and that started that drive. I think he had a 16-yard return that started the drive right before the half. Defensively, the negatives first. We didn't create as many negative plays as we would like to, and those negative plays, talk about chaos plays, being sacks, TFLs, not as successful in that regard. And then we allowed too many yards rushing. We gave them 4.7 yards per carry. And then we allowed 7.4 yards per play, which is not going to be good enough in our league. And I didn't like the way we finished the game. I thought the last two drives of the game we did not play very well. The positives are we had two takeaways. I thought Keith Washington's interception was one of the biggest plays of the game, and we started the game off really strong. And then there was 4 series there. 3 of them were 3-and-outs. One of them was a 4-and-out, and then we're really good on third down versus Kansas. Offensively, the negatives are we didn't have enough explosive plays. We've got to be able to generate explosive plays as we get into our league schedule. We had too many negative yards plays, something that we really cleaned up against North Carolina State. But came out this week, I think we had almost 20, 25 yards of negative yardage. We've got to get that cleaned up. And then we've got to score touchdowns in the red zone. Evan had a good day kicking field goals. He was 3 of 4, but we need to score 6 there rather than settling for 3. The positive, 0 turnovers. We controlled the game offensively, 85 plays, 37-plus minutes, ran the ball effectively, 192 yards rushing, and then we answered their scores. I talked about that after the game. I think that was a critical piece of the game is when they scored, we were able to answer, and then we were effective on third down. Awards for this week, Evan Staley was Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week. Proud of him. He's had a good year to this point. He was 3 of 4 field goals on Saturday, 4 of 6 touchbacks on kickoffs, which are huge. Those don't get talked about as much, but he was 4 of 6 touchbacks. Our in-house awards, our Special Teams Player of the Week, we never double up. So if you win it with the league, we don't necessarily we recognize that, but we give a Special Teams Player as well. This week is Josh Chandler, who starts on our kickoff and our punt team. Very, very good at protection on punt. And then on kickoff, he had a big tackle on one that we misplaced the kick, and we got some guys out of our lane. He kind of had the saving tackle there. Our offensive lineman of the week, Colt McKivitz, continues to play at a high level. This week, the award goes to Chase Barrett. He played every snap. Second week playing at a high level. He played very well against NC State as well. He was very good at the point of attack in the run game, and he was very productive in Coach Moore's grading system. Defensively, our player of the week was Darius Stills. Played his best game that I've seen him play. Had tackle for loss, 2 pressures, a quarterback hit. Graded out at 94%. Did a lot of really good things in the game, and really challenged him this week to be consistent, or last week to be consistent. And now he's put back-to-back games together. Offensively, player of the week was Kennedy McCoy, leading rusher and receiver. He had a great drive. He was instrumental at the end of the half, where I think 5 of those touches went to him. Played very well without the ball, pass protection, perimeter blocking. He's played well 2 weeks in a row. Scout team players the week from last week, special teams, was Drew Joseph, a freshman who's redshirting. Defensively, it was Alonzo Adai, a guy that has really done a good job to this point through fall camp up until now. He's sitting out the year. Then offensively is Lorenzo Dorr. And we put a lot on him to give us a look last week for those running backs. Kansas had 2 great running backs. We talked about them at length, and he did a good job, I thought, preparing our defense. The Juice Award, we had really good juice. I know some of those videos went around on the sideline, but Jake Abbott, for his air guitar, he stole the show, so he had the best juice of the game, so he gets the Juice Award. And then last but not least, George Campbell, who I've talked about a lot, being a quality addition to our program for a lot of different reasons. But he gets our community service award. And so those are the awards. Wrapping up the game, that was a good win, but we've got to play considerably better to win as we continue through our league. I wasn't particularly pleased with how we played. I was proud of the fact that we were able to win the game and not be at our best. We didn't have a great week of practice last week, and I thought it showed. We did not handle prosperity very well. I think that's something that young teams have to overcome. We did find a way to win, but we've got to do a better job in preparation and practice. On another note, before we talk about the bye, Josh Seals had season-ending surgery yesterday, so he will miss the remainder of the year. And hate that for him, but necessary and for him, and he's recovering well. Bye week is here, and it comes at a really good time for us. This is a critical week for our development. We put a lot of time into developing our younger players during this week, and so this is key to that. And then we'll spend a lot of time at the end of the week recruiting as a staff. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Start with the recruiting. How's it going? Will everybody go out? You hit everything? What do you do this
Yeah, so what we'll do is you get a certain number of days. The NCAA allows you a certain number of days. So we'll use the biggest chunk of those days during this bye week and then our next bye week. We'll do some during Fridays before home games. But we'll be out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. A few coaches will be out all 3 days, but most of them either 1 or 2 days over that period. Seeing 20 recruits, either guys that are committed or guys that we're heavily involved with. And then also going to get some live evaluation of 21 recruits as well.
You mentioned window dressing a little bit to move the ball. Is this about what you normally do, or is this a little bit more than you had to do in the past in other places to try to move the ball a little bit?
Yeah, we're having to window dress a little bit. You have to reinvent yourself a little bit each and every week. We had to do that last year once our starter got hurt. It's probably more so in from the middle of the season last year, Troy, and through the first. Really, we didn't do it week 1, but week 2, 3, and 4. It's probably more so than we would normally do. Yeah.
Is there been any discussion about going for a 6th year for Josh, or is that going to be something down the road?
Yeah, down the road. Haven't had those talks. Like I said, he's gonna miss this year, and then we'll kind of, as he recovers, we'll kind of figure out what's next.
And then you talked about explosive plays. What do you guys have to do to get down to the passing?
Yeah,
On those
we got to complete them, kid. You know what I mean? Like, I think we called. And I'm going off I think we called either 6 or 7 of them in the game, and we just didn't connect. We didn't connect, and so we've got to do a better job schematically, putting ourselves in a better position from a coaching perspective, and then we got to do a better job of winning on routes, and then throwing the ball downfield better. We've been hit and miss as we've gone through the year. It hadn't been a strength for sure. It's something once we play, especially these teams that are prolific offensively, that we're not going to be able to kind of grind out wins. I'm not naive. I understand kind of what we got coming. So we're going to have to hit some of those big plays rather than counting on 9, 10, 11 play drives to score touchdowns.
Did you say what the injury was on Josh? Whether it was Liam or
Yeah. No, I'm going to stay away from it. It was a normal football injury. Right. Some of that stuff, HIPAA-wise, I got to be careful with.
And the delay in getting the surgery from the time he had the injury till now, is that trying to see if he could play or?
No, there wasn't a long delay. He had a minor injury that kept him out the first game that he missed. I guess that would have been North Carolina State. And this injury has been something that's been lingering.
With him no longer available, depth-wise, how you develop depth up front, he's try to push a couple more than that play.
Yeah, so, in the game on Saturday, we really meant to go 6, at least 7. We ended up playing the whole way with 5. And I think that's just because we got off to a good start. Coach Moore felt more comfortable playing those 5. I think you'll see John Hughes continue to play. I think you'll see Mike Brown definitely get some snaps and get in the rotation. Junior is a guy that we've been repping a lot. He plays behind Colton. And then we've got Blaine Scott's a guy that has shown some flashes. Stilly is, backing up Bryson Mays at center. And then, we're giving a lot of work to Brandon Yates and Parker Moore as well. They're not necessarily ready now, but toward the last piece of the season, they very well may be. We want to redshirt those guys, but the 4-game rule allows you to maybe give them some action later in the year if need be.
Talk a little bit about what it takes from being the starting center to not playing to filling in at guard and now playing the way Chase is playing.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about him. He lost his starting position during fall camp, and really that was based on more some erratic snaps than it was basically in pass protection or and run blocking. And then he came back and played against Missouri at center. But then, really, since moving back and we got him locked in on one spot at that right guard spot, he's really came. He didn't play particularly well against Missouri. I think he took the coaching. His work ethic. He made me from an investment standpoint as far as getting prepared to play. And then, really, he's had 2 great weeks of practice, and he's played at a high level.
Neal, I believe it was after the Missouri game you said something about wanting to get more carries for Alex Sinkfield going forward. We haven't really seen that these last few games. Have plans changed for him, or is
he
it
started the game. He started the game against North Carolina State. He's had a little bit of a lower leg injury that's kind of limited him. That's one of the main reasons. I think this bye week would be good for him to get back fully healthy. But he did start. He started the North Carolina State game.
How important was it that the development and Letty Brown and Martell coming in and giving you that power football? Right.
Yeah, we were able to do that. I thought Kansas played really physical. There's a couple shots where they really came down and hit Letty and Petaway, and those are big physical running backs. But that trio that ran the ball on Saturday, thought they did a nice job. They were decisive, and that was kind of what was missing from the running back room the first 2 weeks. We just weren't very decisive. We kind of paused in the hole a little bit, kind of ran east and west. And now what you're seeing is guys putting their foot on the ground, getting behind their pads, being physical, finishing runs, and being decisive. And so I thought Letty has done some really good things the last 2 weeks, kind of getting back. He missed about 3 weeks there. And you can see him kind of getting his timing back. And he adds something to that room just because he is big, he is physical. He's a guy that's hard to bring down. And then Petaway, I talked about this after the game. I thought he had a really good week last week. I think that speaks to him being mature. I think it's a great learning tool for some of our younger players. He didn't mope. He accepted it, didn't like it, but he accepted it, came back, went to work, and gave himself an opportunity in the game. And when he got that opportunity, he made the most of it.
This week more about your addressing the things that you talked about at the top, or you trying to get a little bit of a head start for the next year?
We'll work a little bit of Texas. We'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we'll work a little bit of Texas, but a lot of it's centered around us. We'll do some good work. I think it's about, during this bye week, it's about efficiency in your time. We gave the guys off Sunday and Monday. They'll also have Friday and Saturday off. So we'll work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's about efficiency, having them in and out. We'll review the game today, and we'll practice. But try to be out there for about an hour with our veterans, and then keep our development guys out and do some controlled scrimmaging, not necessarily tackling, but doing some controlled scrimmaging for them over the next 3 days, give them a lot of repetitions. So it'll be a more so working on us, but also looking ahead, getting a few reps on some things that Texas does.
Yeah, the long break is kind of neat. You play a whole bunch of games that Saturday, Thursday turnaround. It's really short. I don't think you lost one. How unique is that quick turnaround? There's hardly any time in between games.
Yeah. We lost one my first year, I think at Troy, and then we put a lot of time in it. I may be wrong. My mind goes a little bit, but you're asking about the short turnaround, kind of
like 3 days.
Yeah. So we always erred at Troy on less time, less practice time, and really concentrated on walkthroughs and mental preparation. We really had, when we were playing on the short week, we really had what we called normal practice. Okay, so what we would do is we would try to have somewhat of a normal practice on Monday, where depending on what part of the year, if it was early in the year, we wear shells. If it was later in the year, we just wore helmets. But we practiced at a good rate. but then the rest of the week was basically jog through, walk through deal, concentrating on being fresh. And then the other thing also at Troy, Mike, is we played a lot of, so we would have a Saturday may not play until Tuesday, or Saturday or Thursday, like we have, a Saturday in between. Am I making sense? So we would work ahead on opponents a little bit as well.
And I've noticed a lot of communication issues, but running a guy out for the 2-point conversion at the end, it's the first time I really started getting heated.
Yeah, when I got pissed, those talking about.
You hit it well with the call sheet.
Yeah. I
Is
knew
that
my mom was watching.
is that something that the off week affords,
Nah,
or is that
and
natural?
here's the deal: is so you tell everybody you're going to go for 2 because we knew we were going to go for 2. All right, we started the drive, so everybody knows you're going to go for 2, and you get down there and we hit a 3rd and 5, run, Petaway scores, coaches get excited, players get excited, and we don't get the right personnel in the field, so we had to use a timeout. My opinion is we don't use that timeout, we probably get the 2-point play, but because we had to sub, that's something that we've kind of done in the past, and they're well coached over there, so they were able to coach their kids up on it once we use the timeout. But you don't want to take that penalty and move it back 5. So that was really the only communication piece, and that's more from excitement rather than from preparation.
Neal, you got 2 of the true freshmen in Jennings and Wright both played again. Have you made decisions on what their future is moving forward, or will you redshirt?
No, I think that if everything stays the same as it is right now, I think both of them moving forward will continue to play. Winston played, I think, 41 snaps in the game, and he showed some improvement. Ali, he probably played the best as far as our outside receivers at X and Z position. He probably played and graded out the highest of any of those guys. So if everything stays the same, we will continue to play both of those guys, yes.
Would you discuss a little bit progress you've seen in your quarterback since you got here and looked at him?
Well, I think on Saturday it probably wasn't his best, but I thought he did a good job managing the game. I thought the drive before half was really well done by him. He managed the clock. He was efficient in his throws. He went to where the ball needed to go. So I think he's improving. And just like I was telling Keenan, our next step is we've got to get the ball downfield. And that's something that he knows he's got to improve on. And we've got to improve on, again, we've got to improve on our protection on those downfield throws. We've got to improve on schematically setting up those one-on-one opportunities. And we've got to improve on getting open. Okay, so I think that's bits and pieces everywhere, but he's definitely part of that equation. But he's shown improvement. Can he play better? Yes. Has he? I think that he has made marked improvements since the opening game of JMU. All right, I think some of that's just shaking off some rust where he hadn't played so long.
When an opposing coach says he didn't think he'd be that good, is that an insult or a compliment to how much improvement he's
I don't know. I didn't really pay. The only time I saw that honestly was on that video that we released yesterday. I wouldn't even known it if we did. So we released that video and our video people do a really good job. I should note that as I talk about led by Austin Gaines. They do a really good job. Alan showed him some love earlier this year, but I didn't think one way or another about it.
Last week, you put out like an informal invitation to Pat McAfee to come back to school. I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on a former player feeling like they're not welcome back to town?
Well, I think if you listen to the very first part of that, and you didn't listen to the whole thing, so I listened to it 2 different times. First time I listened to it, I'm like, man, but then he comes back around. If you listen to the whole piece that he did, where he talks about, hey, coming back, and so I wasn't here during that time, so I really can't speak of it. I can say this: he's done a tremendous for the brand. He's doing, Thursday Night Football radio show. The dude's killing it, and I think he's an important piece of our football history. And he, just like anybody else that has a part of this program, is welcome back anytime. So I look forward to the day he comes back. I hope he does, and maybe it's a Thursday night football game. Maybe it's him just having an open weekend and being able to come back for a game. But he'll be welcome. And I do think that he's done an incredible job putting himself in the position he's in right now.
When you said that you didn't think the team handled prosperity very well. Is that something you can coach out of them, or is that on the players to kind of?
No, I think you got to use an example. I'm not totally shocked by it because, you know, and I spoke to this a little bit last week. So we have guys that have won games, right? But we don't necessarily have a whole lot of guys that have been a vital piece of winning those games. They were on the team, but they weren't necessarily making the game-winning plays on offense, defense, or special teams. And so we go out and play really well against North Carolina State and beat a program that's, you know, won 9 games the last 2 years, second most wins in the ACC. That's a good, really good program win, especially taking how we played the week previously against Missouri. And so what happens is, well, Sam James gets newcomer of the week. Defense is praised for how they shut them out in the second half. You know, a lot of sacks, tackles for loss. Offensively, we're able to play with a lot of tempo. A lot of young guys played well. We ran the ball, you know, and all these guys were like, oh, yeah, well, maybe we are pretty good. You know, so maybe, you know, instead of, you know, like a veteran or somebody that has experienced success before is going to say, okay, that's what it takes. That's what we got to continue to do. Where natural human tendency, especially if you've never had that type of success, like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, now we're back. Now we're back. And so what we're going to do today, because this is the first time we're really going to spend some time with them, and I think it's important, you know, they need to have some time away from us, and that's what the last 48 hours, really since we got back early Sunday morning, has been about. So today when I stay on the same stage, I'm going to say, hey, listen, here's the deal. We won the game, and we're fortunate. I'm proud of you for winning the game, and this is why we won the game. But this is also why we didn't play our best. And if we continue at this rate, we're not going to be successful for the rest of our season. So we got to understand we got away with these mistakes in this game, but we're not going to be able to continue to do that. And here's where we got to get better. And it starts with our preparation. It starts with our practice habits. And then we're going to go over some practice clips from last week and have matches up some game clips.
And you'll, after a game, you talk to recruits and say, hey, how did it look on TV? Probably couldn't do that Saturday and Sunday. What type of extra work or different work you have to do now with these future ESPN Plus games for not as many people?
Yeah. You know, Mike, honestly, that's something that I really hadn't evaluated, honestly. I've got the ESPN Plus app. The Sunbelt has been using it for a couple of years. And so I'm familiar with it. I use it at home some too. But I haven't really evaluated it from a recruiting standpoint yet. So I'd be giving you an uneducated answer. So,
but could you consider it being part of, like something you do have to think about soon and how you address it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we probably need to get a plan together for it. Here's the deal, though. I think what you'll find is and this is kind of news to me, and I don't see myself as very old, but I'm dated as far as this. You know, in the last year or so, I found myself watching more, you know, using Amazon Prime or I was just asking the other day about, asking my wife, like, do we have a Netflix account? And you know what I mean? And so, like, I think with that age group, like, those subscription services is much more prevalent. You know, but we haven't, and that's probably something we will do in the future is talk to them about ESPN Plus. I actually think it's a really good application. I know there was some bandwidth issues. I do understand that, but a lot of that's out of our control too.
Okay, thanks, Coach.